And I think we are live. So, hello and welcome everyone to this Diwali live stream, and a very happy Diwali from all our team.
Happy Diwali, everybody, and thank you for taking out the time today on a Sunday morning to join us for the festive season and the start of this festive season. I would say so. Happy Diwali to the team and to all our investors and to everybody who's watching as well.
So, I have Siddharth Agarwal, Siddharth Bhaisura, and Shivam on this call with me. And the idea is that we'll keep it simple and light. There won't be any presentations as such, right? But what we will do is, what we've done is that we have looked at the most asked questions on our regular live streams, and we will try to address them as a team, right? We'll have a discussion and we'll address all of that on this.
Right.
Yes, perfect. So why don't we get started, right?
Absolutely. And I think the first thing that we could, sort of start with on a good note is trying to understand a little bit about the festive season. So you want to take that up, Sonam, for starters? Yeah.
Definitely, I think it's a very interesting festive season, Siddharth. I think we have been talking a lot about gold and silver. I think that will cover in another question, right? But this festive season is
Right.
all about this euphoria happening in the bullion, right?
100%. I think the prices have been increasing, and there are various factors which we will, sort of discuss going forward.
Mm.
But yes, this festive season seems very different than the previous one. In a good way, the festive season also has the earning cycle kicking in, and I think a lot of companies in our portfolio are benefiting from that as well.
Definitely, and I think you are there in Chennai where there is most amount of
Oh yes,
demand.
when I come from the South India belt, you see most people sort of investing in hard assets like gold and real estate. Especially in the recent time, one trend that I've seen picking up is gold financing.
Hmm.
Silver financing has sort of increased, right? So that's a trend that I've been seeing in my city specifically. But what's happening in Bombay? Sonam and Shivam, you guys are from that particular belt,
Yes. We were discussing, we had a commodity broker who came to our office, Shivam, and we were talking.
right?
And there is, the Gujarati community here in Bombay is making the arbitrage opportunities, right? Buying from the exchange at a lower price, selling in the physical market, stuff like that. So it's very interesting. But yeah, apart from that, even in the consumption cycle, right? I think that has been one of the biggest things. So on the festive season, there was a this GST cut came right before this,
Correct.
and there is an anticipation of higher consumption spending this time, right? I think in our last live stream we also presented some data that uh, the buying that was supposed to happen in September has been shifted to October because GST cuts came late, right? I'm here in Lucknow this time, right? And I
Okay.
actually went out and so yesterday we went out in a mall and everywhere, in every product they put a tag. Ki rates are lower due to GST, right?
Right.
Yeah. So
Right.
so I think see we are seeing this uptick happen in autos. That rally has been pretty strong, right? And our portfolios also right now have a lot of exposure to autos, auto ancillaries and stuff, right? Which is this month has been holding strong till now for them, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think we have a very good panel here because we are from everywhere right now. We have Siddharth Bhai Sora, who's from Bangalore. Shivam, I think you're in Mumbai. Sonam, you said you're in Lucknow, and I'm in Chennai. So I think we've covered most of the country in that sense.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, so
It's
looking forward to a very fruitful discussion.
definitely Siddharth has figured out his video finally.
Yeah, just my laptop went to update just before the live, so unfortunately, had
Right.
to fill up.
Great.
So yeah, I think that we are seeing that spending increased in different places, right? I think that is one thing. and we have a few questions on consumption and all that have been noted, right?
Yep, absolutely. And I think, these questions are very important in today's context, and we start, sort of addressing them. And I think to start with the elephant in the room, right, when it comes to buying gold, whether it's the festive season or for the uptick in the prices that we are seeing, Team and Sonam, tell me this: what do you think is the best way to invest in gold today, sitting in India? Should an investor look at ETFs, SGBs, buy physical? By mutual funds that are precious metals oriented? What do you guys think?
I think there's a big the rally is a little bit insane right now, right? And I think
Yeah,
yesterday, if you guys are tracking, silver did correct almost
yeah,
5%, right?
yeah.
Um,
It did.
yeah.
It did
Yeah,
fall
it
in the
corrected a bit.
Friday
Yeah,
session. Yeah.
on Friday
Yes.
session. Yeah, correct.
And yeah, I think see the if you're looking at the technicals of it, we are at the absolute peak.
Correct.
I mean, we are at a big peak, right? Not the absolute peak. You never know. Uh, I think the reasons for it. What do you guys think are the reasons for this rally?
In my opinion, there are varied reasons for this. Number one is the uncertainty in the global aspect,
Mhm.
especially in a day and time when central governments are thinking of printing a lot of money. That increases the value of hard assets like gold, silver, real estate, and so on and so forth. So that is definitely adding to this. But I think more and beyond that uh, is the idea for investors to go behind a safe haven, right? That is where gold is also coming into the picture, given the current volatility, especially.
Definitely, and I think see on the geopolitics sides also, Siddharth, you've written a little bit about it, right?
Yeah, so I think on the silver piece, what was interesting is that there's this. It hadn't increased drastically till about I think 2024, and since then it's been sort of rallying a bit. And there's one reason is they've been speaking about how it's being used in industrials in India, specifically in solar and certain other sectors where silver is becoming a very precious commodity in that sense. So that is one of the reasons why there is a industrial rally that sort of happened in the silver metals at least.
I think that is one, and I think the biggest reason obviously is the geopolitics of it. Right? China is holding gold.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
People are moving away from the US dollar because of
Correct.
so much
Yeah.
disruption. But yeah, we are at a peak. So we had somebody, like I said, we were talking to a commodity expert on Friday in the office, and they said the amount of demand that is there in the industry is massive, and the spreads that are there, right? If you do any arbitrage on cash and future of gold or between the two rollover contracts, you will get crazy spreads. So you can make big money on the spread trading if you want, and that's more riskless, right? I mean, buying silver and gold right now is very risky. It seems that it's at the absolute peak, right?
Well, it is, but the correction that is expected is not as much as the rally that we've seen, right?
Hmm.
Also, if you look at the silver prices going above $50 an ounce, I think that nobody has seen in the history apart from the 1970s and 80s, where it briefly
Yeah.
sort of hit that price during a trading period, right? But these are prices that past six, seven generations have not experienced, right? And we are getting to see this rally on a daily basis.
Right.
Every day there's a new high that we look at. Every day there is shortage of supply that we read about, right? Say I was reading about something in the London market, which is the highest market for bullion silver, where there is a lot of low supply, right? So they have to ship it from outside, and that increases the cost as well, right?
Right.
So there are varied reasons, but it's a very interesting time for sure.
But definitely, I think, see, I am also looking at it, and every day the 3%, 4%, sometimes 8% uptake
Yeah,
looks very interesting. But then, see, um, people are expecting a short-term correction, right? Not like it looks like a long-term bull market because the demand
right.
for hard assets, that you said, is strong. But if there's a short-term correction, that would be a good time to buy. So I'm just waiting for a short-term correction to maybe take a position.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And also, coming back to the precious metal part, especially in the Indian context, we have the multi commodity exchange. And if you
Hmm.
just look at it from an equity basis, the stock prices for MCX has also been sort of
Yeah.
rising, right? Because all of these traders are coming to the platform, trying to, sort of put their trades. And that's giving a lot of benefit to MCX as a company itself.
Right. I think if you put on news, CNBC, stuff like that, I think every 30 seconds gold prices or gold is being prompted from what I can see, right?
Right.
And
Right.
even retail, is looking to now go to MCX. My father was inquiring how to invest into silver futures, right? So you can see that you way are coming in.
Right. In fact, given this rise, many brokers have also sort of integrated the MCX agenda in their systems. Right. I was reading Grow has recently done it, where you can directly, sort of trade commodities from their platform using an app, which wasn't, really sort of lucrative in the past, but now it is.
Definitely. I
Um,
think it's very interesting. I think Bitcoin, on the other hand, Shiva, maybe you would like to contribute here, but that has been slightly more volatile compared to these hard assets, right?
you're not audible, Shivam.
Can't
Hello,
hear you. Oh, I can
Yes.
Yes.
hear you.
you're able to hear me, right?
Yeah.
All right. So I believe Bitcoin has always led the rally in cryptocurrencies, and we've seen recently there's been a lot of supply. Of course, there are many reasons. There are some speculations as well. But then, keeping those speculations apart, I feel gold as an asset class is finding more traction at this moment in time because in the past we've seen a lot of US auctions have gone, have not really seen a lot of investor interest, which shows that usually whenever there used to be risk off, people would tend to go towards US dollar uh, as a safe asset class, which otherwise they are not feeling at this moment in time, and they're going towards gold as an asset class. And a lot of current countries, due to the lot of geopolitical issues that are going around, are certainly trying to have more gold as an asset in their inventories as compared to US dollar. So that is certainly deriving gold as an asset class and its price. But when it comes to cryptocurrencies, in if I have to specifically speak about Bitcoin, it has shown a lot of strength between a certain band, and it
Hmm.
has not corrected below 110. It has consistently been between that band. $100,000 and 110 is something of very strong support that it has found. It has certainly shown a lot of volatility once it probably tries to breaches all time high, and there's a lot of supply that we see. But I think the kind of the amount of Bitcoin that is going in cold wallets, that is, it is going off exchange, has certainly increased in last 3 to 5 years. Uh, and I think the one that we see on the exchange at this moment in time is only because of the ETFs that we have in the US. It will certainly fly off. I certainly am not recommending it's, when I say this. Of course, I would request everyone to do their research. But I think it can fly off over the period of next 10, 15 years. It will find a lot of traction as compared to what it has today.
Right.
Just to add on to it, one more interesting trend that I've been seeing is because of a short squeeze where the top trading firms are trying to find a divergence and short these precious commodities, and
Hmm.
because of the short squeeze that happens, the prices tend to go even higher,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
uh, so
No, I
that's
think
another interesting
a
trend.
lot of, see, for example, physical jewelers, right? Or if they are buying gold physically, they are hedging somewhere or the other using shorts, right?
Correct.
So yeah, that also increases amount of shorts. But yeah, it is a tricky thing. I think it is at, if you're looking at technicals on a monthly level, it is at an absolute peak, right? It's not.
Right. Right.
So,
So one dent that I see with this rise in prices is, um, people actually going out and buying jewelry, right? the quantity that they would previously buy has tend to reduced, right? Let's assume you have a marriage coming in your house. You'll still need to buy the jewelry, but you wouldn't buy, say, 100 grams, which you would previously, when the prices were low, you would tend to buy, say, 70 grams, right? So
Right.
that is sort of reducing the sales for these jewelry companies specifically, is what we've also seen.
Right. But a very interesting time for sure.
100%.
Hmm. I think we can talk a little bit about consumption now. And guys, one announcement from our side, everybody who's here, have we sent out about our consumption portfolio, Siddharth? Have we?
We've done it with the Diwali.
Okay.
Uh,
So see,
but
there's a new consumption portfolio that we have launched on Smallcase. Maybe I will quickly try to show it to people on the screen as well. So anybody looking to take advantage, this is one of the first, after a year we've launched a new small case, right? And that is because we think that the consumption theme is going to be pretty strong going forward. So this is right consumption. You can see it's been quite robust in the last 2 months since we have made it live. Again, you guys can go and watchlist this portfolio. It would be a very interesting one for you to keep track of why we are very, very excited about consumption. I think we discussed it last time, right? In the last webinar, it was all about
Yes.
consumption. You see the GST policies, which have been the biggest trigger, right? And apart from GST, you have RBI rate cuts, which are boosting consumption. You're seeing government trying to find more depth in consumption instead, and cutting down speculative trading, online gaming, stuff like that. So I think there are too many triggers that are there, which are trying to boost consumption, and I do expect that this consumption boom will be a multi-year sort of a boom, right? If it
Right.
materializes, if there's no global disruption that happens, and we'll talk about global stuff.
Right. One question that just coming up in my mind, Sonam, is that whenever we talk about consumption, we can bracket it into urban and rural, right? If we see this that uptick that's happening in the urban consumption, where do you think should we position ourselves for the rural consumption part?
Yeah, I think rural consumption has been extremely strong, right? We
Hmm.
we have talked a little bit about it, right? Rural consumption has been quite strong. You're seeing actually rural growth rate has been even stronger compared to urban, right?
Right.
And for the rural side, if you want to take a bet on it, talking about FMCG. So if you guys are tracking earnings,
Hmm.
did you follow Nestle earning and Asian
No.
Paint?
Yep.
There was like a 4% rally after the earning was announced for Nestle, right?
Right.
Even Asian Paint got a big uptick after the earning. So I think, see, we are seeing numbers also come in very strong for the consumption basket in the FMCG space. Then you have two wheelers like Bajaj Auto, which has been doing extremely well. Tractor
Right.
companies, Ashok Leyland. Again, these are not recommendations. I'm just talking about
Hmm.
it.
Right.
Somewhere or the other, you're seeing e-commerce come into play, right? When you talk
Right.
about consumption, discretionary spending, look at real estate. Mumbai, the real estate
Yeah.
prices are still picking, buying is increasing. Everywhere else, you're seeing discretionary spending, luxury spending picking up.
Right.
So this particular portfolio also that we have, it's not just FMCG. People, when you think about consumption, what do you think about? Like, typically food and FMCG products, right? Shampoo, stuff like that. But
yeah.
this has a much diverse basket, Siddharth, right? So what other sectors do we have covered in this one? Um, so there is definitely FMCG. There is what else?
Auto durable ancillaries, I believe. Right?
Yeah, auto ancillaries are there. There's a lot of autos and ancillaries. There is some internet, right?
Yeah.
We also have cement, which has been quite strong, right? You have cement as a proxy. You have, I think, your e-commerce exposure, right?
Right.
Maybe I'll just I'll just fetch it while you guys are looking at it. I'll just maybe look at
Right.
the basket also and then talk about. So you have a little bit of chemicals also. You have some pharmaceuticals here, right? Hospitals as a proxy. You have some agriculture and some gold financing in this, right? So it's a good mix of consumer names, right? This one, that we agree.
Right. What about the sub themes that come under the consumption bracket? Say something like QSR, multiplexes, OTTs, travel. What are your takes on that, guys? And what do you
No,
think
I
about
think that, yeah, that's a very interesting question. Right, QSR is seeing a strong uptick, right?
Yeah.
We're seeing numbers look attractive finally in the QSR bucket uh,
it? Yeah,
because of the festive season and also because GST has been cut, right? There's been a GST impact, right?
right,
Secondly, I think QSR travel is also something that's looking exciting right now. Hotels, right? So you're seeing an uptick in some of the hotel stocks. That is interesting. Uh, yeah, so I think all sort of related sort of a basket. And so consumption, like as we said, is not just about FMCG. It is this whole
right,
holistic basket. Even white goods, obviously there's no demand for AC this year because of these amazing monsoons. But the cold season could be a little bit adverse. So you would again see demand for a number of household goods, right? Which will
right.
continue to be remain robust, right? So that is something that we expect.
Right. No, I think the home improvement space also under the consumption theme has been
Yes.
sort of picking up, right? A lot of people are moving into cities. The real estate boom is happening, because of which a lot of people need these products to be put in their houses. Hence, the purchasing is going up for sure.
Definitely, home products. Even in the same vein, you can talk about pipes and fittings, right?
Right,
That are there, wires, stuff like that. That's
right.
also picking up quite robustly.
Right.
Perfect. So good discussion on consumption. I think
Yep.
next, what do we talk about? Do we talk about like maybe we can pick up something about the internet stocks, right? First.
Mhm.
So you can see, there's been a good upswing happen in the internet theme, right? You've seen Nika do well, you've seen Paytm do well, Delivery has posted good numbers. Uh, what else? What other stocks are seeing demand in this bucket? India Mart is seeing, I think, demand.
I
Policy
think
Bazaar.
even somebody like Eternal, right? If you would
Yeah,
deem it to be in the internal internet space, uh, companies like Eternal and Swiggy have also been seeing a good sort of pickup happening, and that is reflecting somewhere in the share price as well. Of course, in the short term, we did see some drawdowns, but
hmm.
eventually, if you look at the larger picture over a quarter, and so you've seen massive upside.
Definitely, I think for Eternal, the earnings came out and it was very interesting. Blinkit has actually done extremely well,
Right,
but Eternal wants to now focus on the long term instead of short term discounting and stuff like that. They
right,
have they have really they're pivoting towards long term profitability, which will be a great story, right? If one of these companies becomes goes to a 20% margin, that would be
right,
exceptional. But there's
right.
a way to go. But it's good that Eternal is planning towards it.
100%. Just to give you an example of yesterday from my own personal experience, yesterday was Dhanteras, and in Dhanteras, we generally buy a silver coin for Shagun and do the puja for it. Previously, we would go to the markets to buy it from these, traditional jewelry shops. But
Yeah.
yesterday, I did order it from Blinkit, which gave me a very good price, number one, and it also gave me a box of sweets as
Yeah.
a complimentary thing for Diwali. So that was a very good thing. And I've never done this before. I've never bought anything in the precious space online. But see, that is how the times are changing.
Definitely, I think that's a very good example, right? And across everything, even tier two, tier three cities, right? I'm here in
Right.
Lucknow. There's nothing that you can't find on Blinkit, to be honest.
Right.
Right. So, yeah. See, and talking about the internet theme, maybe I'll also talk a little bit about one of our small cases. Again, people can watch list this one. That would be a great opportunity. So this one has been a very interesting story, right? Innovation, which is something now more than 3 years old, right? This one, if you
Yeah.
look at it, 6 months has been exceptional, right? And what this particular portfolio does is it invests into your digital, which is the internet super cycle, autos, right, which is again a very strong theme right now, and your biotech and your fintech, right? So all of these things, fintech, e-commerce, and your auto ancillaries and autos, have done extremely well, which is where this portfolio seems to be shining very brightly at this current time. I think a recent uptick that we've seen has come primarily through some of the auto ancillary exposure. You have all the e-commerce exposure in this one. You also have some digital exposure, some slight chemical exposure and stuff like that, a little bit of pharma. So this has been an exceptional one. We don't talk a lot about this, but I think it's a good time to talk about this one, right? Seems to be the time for innovation.
Yeah, I think a lot of the companies or the sectors that we've covered in for this portfolio, are like they're doing something disruptive from a technology perspective, and that's probably why it makes sense at least this year from an innovation perspective.
Yes, and I think see our I think I was reading somewhere that Indian IT is a opposite proxy for AI, right?
Hmm.
And so we are not linked to the AI boom, right? This growth that you're seeing in the
Yeah.
innovation is not linked to the AI boom exactly. It's a different super cycle which will continue, I think, in India specifically, right? So extremely interesting, and you're seeing some IPOs also come around. I think Urban Company was exceptional, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Again, that again falls somewhere in the consumption internet space as well,
correct.
right?
Yeah,
And given the current context, the kinds of services that such companies provide has seen a very good demand, especially in tier one cities, I would say, trickling down to tier two, three, so on and so forth.
definitely. I
I
think
think they
that
were also profitable. Am I wrong? I think they were, right?
Urban
Yeah.
Company, yes. I think they have done well.
Yeah.
That's why they got the huge demand during
Yeah.
the period. Right? So yeah, I think definitely internet super cycle is something that we have to talk about. Maybe another thing that we can talk about before we go to the broader outlook is about the earning season, right?
Right.
So earning season, TCS came with good set of numbers, right? TCS, your persistent came with exceptional numbers. So IT has not disappointed till now. I think Infosys was not that encouraging, correct?
Yeah, Infosys was not very encouraging. It did see some drawdown also after the earnings came
Yeah,
out.
yeah,
Uh, while it was the opposite for TCS. TCS के
yeah.
numbers अच्छे आए थे, so it did see an increment there.
And persistent was like
Yeah.
absolute. I mean,
Yeah. And that is what I've been hearing from a lot of people that, in the IT space, if you want to take bets, I think it's the smaller IT companies that have a larger potential to grow than the big ones at the moment, at least, right? And that might change again in the future, but for now, the smaller companies have a lot of potential.
definitely, and there's a lot of fear right now in the global markets, right, about the growth rates coming from the US and stuff like that, which is built into IT sector somewhere, right? This negativity built in, and I think if that does not materialize, right, if the growth actually picks up, then you can see a lot of emergence in the IT stocks going forward. I think, right?
Right. And coming back to the earnings season, I think for us and everybody out there as investors, it's not just about, sort of reading the headlines, but also looking into the quality of earnings that are coming out, right? Say in terms of the deal pipeline these company has, the order books that are sort of being garnered, right? The business segment, the cost structure sort of going a bit lower than before, right? These things are definitely adding to the earnings season on an overall basis for sure.
Right, and we've talked about Nestle, we've talked about some of the other names, right? Asian Paint, right, which have done positive. I have another interesting slide maybe that I will show you guys. 1 second. So there is this report by one of our brokers that I follow, which tracks earnings, right? See, it is still very early. It's not. I'm so sorry. What happened? 1 second. Mhm. Yeah. So I'll just maybe quickly share my screen. Yes. So I track this where they look at number of upgrades versus downgrades, right?
Hmm?
And you can see in the last 4 quarters there's been more downgrades versus upgrades, and in this early earning season this time there
Yeah.
seem to be more upgrades versus downgrades, right? And where it is coming from, you would see is IT services is giving you most upgrades, right? um, so I think this is a positive signal, but we're very early. There's a lot that is to come. I think major banks are going to come, and I think ICICI has announced good set of numbers.
Right.
But yeah, but it is looking like a good earning season. So definitely, uh, and that takes us to our next question, right? Which is it the right time to invest? Hmm.
Very interesting. To start with, I think it is the right time to be invested in the markets at least. Talking about deploying new capital, I think from a fund manager's point of view, we would love to hear what you have to say on that.
Definitely. See, I think why is it a good time to for us to be confident, right, about our strategy specifically? I will not talk about anybody else, right? I think a recovery happen is materializing in the economy. First of all, earnings we've already talked about. It's picking up. It is looking stronger, right? So earnings definitely a big trigger. Positivity seeing in the earnings, which is a great trigger for the broader market, right? Second, your consumption upcycle, your policies, right? Your rate cuts, GST cuts, and a number of measures that are being taken. Suppression of FNO volumes to boost the cash market, to boost consumption. I think that hints at the government's or the policymakers' push to consumption in the economy. Second, capex has been accelerated, right? Some uptick in credit upcycle also. Credit is picking up, so there's a lot of positive that is there in the economy, which, despite everything that's happening in the world order, looks positive for India, right? And that is specifically the time when strategies like ours, which do have exposure uh, to the broader market, which do have exposure to momentum, they tend to shine, right? So I think it's a good time to allocate. And I think that is maybe one question. Again, you brought this to me, Siddharth. We've seen there has been a, maybe I'll address this specifically on this call, is that there are investors specifically in our PMS. Our PMS has seen some underperformance, and that is primarily because we hedged it at one point in time. We went out of the market, and while the last 6 months have been very robust, we've done well, but better than the benchmarks. The pain that we saw in March and April is still biting some of our investors, right? And every few days I have an investor who comes and says, what is the outlook? Where do you see it going? Is it time for me to stick or not, etc.? So I think, see, underperformance can be, it is it our strategies, which are long only, which take certain type of exposure, can have extended periods of underperformance, but still in the long term we outperform 70% of the times. And still, we do have this strong expectation of returns from our strategy, and I think the cycle is turning, right? So a lot of positives. I think this month itself, we were talking about, has been very strong, very powerful for our strategies. And yeah, I think it's a good time to stay invested and actually look to build up. And
Right.
yeah, and we've kept our investors very happy for the last 6 years. There's been a small period this year where people have gotten some worry, but we are extremely confident about the ability of our strategies to make people happy, to to build a positive experience for investors in the market, right? That's what we are trying to do. We believe that our what's our mission statement here?
Unraveling the markets with data and algorithm for who? Uh, not all investors. I think we just changed it recently.
Yes, for I'm so sorry, this is so embarrassing.
Working on it, so it takes a little time for it to sink in as well. And I think
Yes,
that
so
is where the gestation starts.
maybe I'll just quickly share it with people on this. I have it on the presentation that we worked on. So our team has been putting a lot of effort working on strategy and all of these lines. Quite a lot of interesting work. But this is our mission statement: unraveling the market with data and algorithms to help people make better decisions in an evolving market. Right? This is a changing, evolving market, and we have a lot of confidence in the ability of our strategies, and we want to and it's not we don't sell our strategies at any cost, right? We're not pushing AUM at any cost. What we want is to create a positive experience for our clients. That is our primary goal. So if you look at what does right research want to do in the next 3 years, we want to keep our clients happy and have strong retention and strong experience, right? That's what we want, right? That's our primary goal, correct?
100%. I think more than just delivering the returns that we all seek in the markets is the relationship that we build with our clientele as well, right? And sometimes things go beyond percentages and numbers, and that is
Hmm.
where we all are built as humans. Even though we are here to make a quick buck, and everybody wants that, but the human element stays intact, and we are focusing on that as well. Not just improving the models, but also trying to understand how can we be more efficient, more effective with our clients in terms of the processes that we have, and that's what we've been working on as well.
Definitely. So next, so we have spent a lot of time on strategy over the last 8 9 months. We were with the program with Stanford, right?
Correct.
Where all of us have put in so much time in working on strategy for our company. We've identified what are the key pillars that we want to work on, and keeping our customer happy through obviously product excellence, through customer service excellence, through technology is what right research and our team will be working on in the next few years. So I just wanted to give a vote of confidence, right, to investors who might be present here for our
Right.
strategy.
Right. And also, I would like to mention that our investors, especially the investors who've joined just, say towards the end of the last calendar year, have been extremely patient with us. They've seen the drawdown in our strategies. And now is the time for you guys to see the uptick, right? So hang in there, stay invested, and you will see the returns kicking in again.
No, no, I think it's a big. There have been period where we've been especially during the hedging time, right? We were underperforming for a while, and see, majority of our investors, a big majority of our investors, have never complained. I receive every media appearance or video that we post. I see positive comments coming about that from them, and I think we build a great community, and our focus would be to keep them happy through excellence in our products, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect. So this was great. Maybe next one is good time to add capital. What do you guys
Should
think?
should we take a consensus on that, like a vote, so we understand where we are on the same page for that? I
Yes.
can go first if you guys want.
Hmm.
I feel it is a good time to add cautious capital. When I say the word cautious capital, I literally mean it, because capital right now is very limited, I would say, and the risk that we all foresee seems unlimited, right? Because we don't know what's going to happen. Deploying cautious capital in effective strategies that have a basket approach helps achieve diversification, which reduces your risk, keeping your returns still intact on an average basis. So that's my opinion. Cautious capital, definitely yes. Staying invested, definitely yes.
Next, who wants to go?
Sure. I think I'm nevertheless very bullish on Indian markets. So I'll continue to say that, investors should, remain invested in the Indian markets. There will be hiccups, and that is part of the market. Uh, there will be times, FIIs and DIIs will go out of the market, and the institutions will make you feel that, you may have made wrong decisions, wrong bets, and that's not the case with Indian markets. I think in on the entire length of and breadth of Indian markets are going to give extreme returns, is what I believe. So remain invested. Of course, you can, accordingly plan how you'd like to deploy it. You probably want to deploy it in lump sum. You'd like to deploy in SIPs. However you feel fit, that is a choice that you need to make. But very bullish for the next 10 years on the Indian market. So whenever you have ample capital, whenever you see markets correcting, I think it's a really good time for you to, pump in more money.
Right. So one cautiously bullish, one extremely bullish. Now start.
I think see the long term story of India is obviously intact. I don't think that is fundamentally shifted drastically. There is obviously these short term hiccups that we've seen, and I think this year has been primarily because of a lot of what Trump has been doing, which is uh, shaken up not just equity markets, but even like we were discussing crypto, right? But there's a lot of we probably shouldn't get into it, but there's a lot of things that he's done in crypto also
He's
that is
manipulating to that.
yeah, again, allegedly manipulating the markets there. So I think, see, long term, I think it's great to be in India. I think the short term, like Shivam and maybe Siddhartha mentioned, is that you need to pick your moments to sort of come into the market if you have that ability. If you don't, then the standard SIP model still holds. Because on average, on a long term horizon, you'll probably still do better than someone who's not investing in the market, obviously. So I think that's the broader view that I would have.
So I think you are also cautiously bullish.
Yeah, yeah. Again, just because of what Trump is being doing, because I think it's a very, very big external factor, and I don't think we can necessarily ignore US in that sense.
But I think if you look at this month, we seem to have been very decoupled from what he's doing, right? Market.
This month, but like I mean, like if you look at the let's say
Yeah,
the
yeah,
last
definitely. Longer term, yes. So I'll just add my 2 cents here. Again, I am extremely bullish on the long term story for sure, and I'll maybe talk about what I have learned in this year. What I've learned is this year is that volatility and correction is actually the best time to allocate. That's where you get the best average buying prices, and there are exceptional stories, exceptional stock, exceptional businesses, exceptional entrepreneurs who are doing amazing work in the market, right? And you have to be bullish on them, what they're doing, and correction is when you get those businesses at cheap. And I think if you're investing in the market, don't come to make a quick buck. It's extremely tricky, right? If you just look at data, your ability to predict something for tomorrow, you will be wrong 50% of the times, right? But if you, let's say, go slightly longer term in horizon, 1 month, 2 months, or even longer, probability to pick up winners becomes higher, right? So we are here to pick up good stocks for the long term, and correction is the best time to buy. And I hope all of us were selling at the peak and safeguarding our capital so that we could invest at the bottom. But that's what we have to learn, right?
No, absolutely. And I think understanding the peak in this market becomes extremely different, right? Because difficult, I would say. I'll tell you why. Because whatever we've learned in terms of theory, whether it comes to economics, investing, everything is sort of changed. I see the DXY today falling while gold also falls at times, right? While there should be an inversely proportional relationship between the two. So these are times where even the best of the best are not able to comprehend what might happen next, and that's why I did mention cautious deployment becomes very important. And just leading our investors through one of our strategies, the multi-factor strategy, being my favorite in our PMS, where we are not just allocating to one factor but multiple factors, and that too based on quantitative models, right, where numbers are justifying it. It being an actively traded strategy again becomes very important in such markets. Strategies that are much redundant and are not very active might not perform much better than an actively performing strategy. So I think multi-factor is something that we should all be looking at in the equity class at least.
Definitely. Amazing. So all of us are bullish in essence.
Essence,
and,
yes.
and yeah, I think that's because we're optimistic, about the prospects of the market, and I think that's the way to go, right? That makes you a better investor in the markets. And obviously you have to be cautious and aware of what's happening, which is what all of you said, right?
Right.
Now, you guys talked a little bit about Donald Trump and global markets. Maybe we'll take a couple of questions about that, right? One question that right now everybody talks a lot about is AI, right? Are the AI stocks at the peak? That's an interesting discussion, right?
Correct.
Um,
So,
so there is this notion. There was an article I think that came out maybe two months back, I think, which was talking about how potentially AI could be in a bubble because you're seeing. I think that there was a lady, the Meera Murati, the ex OpenAI, I think senior member. She had I think raised a round of around $1 billion with a valuation of like 10 billion, with zero product, zero revenue, zero everything, right? So I think that was what the article was sort of talking about, and then it goes into other specific areas where there's more valuation and funding happening. But broad story there was that from a product perspective, there's still nothing that's really materialized that is fundamentally shifting how a lot of these very fancy AI companies are doing it. There are obviously core AI companies that are doing a lot of work, but there's also a bunch that haven't really proven themselves, and there's still a lot of money that's been flowing into them. So that was a
right.
quite an interesting piece.
I think there's been a lot of other signals on AI. For example, there is an MIT study that came out that everybody on Earth decided that we want AI now, right? Like all the banks, all the
Yeah.
investment firms, everybody said that now we will incorporate AI in our thing. And that MIT study said that I think 70% or I don't know higher number of those experiments that started have failed, right? So all of this corporate experiments of incorporating AI have been discarded, a majority of them, and so that is a signal that you see. And there are a couple of other signals. Siddharth, you talked about Mia Murati's startup. Huh? I saw
Yeah.
a news yesterday that the co-founder that she had, uh, Meta has acquired that co-founder at a 5 billion ka
Yeah.
pay package. So that's also crazy. Another thing that another couple of things I sort of listen to a lot of podcasts about this topic. So one interesting fact here is that right now 40% of the world's capital is tied to 10 AI companies. Can you imagine that? Right? It is obviously, does this make sense? It is extremely extreme right now. And another thing that's happening is, which is very, people are drawing parallel to the 2000 bubble in internet stock. And I think Geeta Gopinath published something on Twitter I saw where she was warning about it, right? Right now, there's also a lot of this happening that, OpenAI buys GPUs from NVIDIA. Now, NVIDIA is investing into OpenAI. So it's become like a circular thing, right? That you take my money, I take your money, and then revenue is increasing, but it's the same capital, right? They've invested in each other, so it's like circular investing, which is a red flag. So a lot that is happening, but yeah, I think I am a little bit worried about the valuations, and if something happens, it could have broader impact on the overall market, right? But I, on the other hand, I also really believe in the power of these technologies. You guys know I talk a lot about AI, right? In our calls, different tools that can be used. So I think there are great productivity enhancers for sure, but the valuations are definitely varying. If they are 40% of the world's capital, then it is a worry, right?
100%. It's very skewed at the moment, as you mentioned, right? And I think it has to be distributed properly, which will eventually happen once we see this boom and a little bit of bust coming in the picture. But yes.
There was also an
I
interesting
think
comparison someone had done on the tech boom that happened in the early 2000s versus the current AI bubble. And I think the conclusion of that article was that there is definitely an AI bubble, and the tech boom was, there was obviously there were obviously companies that were doing certain actual work, etc., etc. But again, like you said, a huge amount of capital wasn't just sort of flowing into companies that have yet to prove from a revenue and a fundamentals perspective.
Right, right.
all of
Obviously,
this actually reminds me. I'm sorry.
yeah, go ahead. Sure.
So, all of this reminds me of, the gold rush that happened in US. There's a very great story around it that, nothing really survived. Only companies that were providing tools ultimately survived in that gold rush. And the companies that were actually digging for gold, very few, or for that matter, none of that survived. So I think, it might as well, looking at power sector would be a better, you know,
Yeah,
it would
yeah,
be
yeah.
better to look at power sector because that they are basically providing the tools at this moment in time to all of these.
I think Nvidia also is somehow providing the tools, but Nvidia is also crazy right now in terms of valuations, right?
Right.
Yeah, a very interesting point. Power sector, data centers.
Yeah,
Because
even like
even GPUs are going to get have to be fed with power in order for them to run.
Yes, yes,
even companies that are laying like optical fiber, etc. I think Tata Communication is doing something around that or has
yeah,
significant volume there. So all of those companies are also good.
right. But interesting. I think this is something that there's a lot of fear that is getting built in. I think I believe in AI quite a bit, obviously, but the valuations are scary, right? And Donald Trump is also talking about Donald Trump again. He is pushing AI. He is create like all this these AI guys are always present in his gold meetings, right? and and he seems to be pushing that valuation, that story. But yeah, no, you have to be right now a little bit concerned about the valuations and ability for them to justify. And does it even make sense to have such high valuations?
Right. And I think the crux of it remains the same, that AI is here to stay, like the
Yeah,
internet has. We will see this booms and busts coming in the picture, and some people will make money and some people will lose money. But AI is here to stay for sure.
definitely. Perfect. So what next? Do you want to talk about what's happening in the global market?
Definitely, I think we can cover a little on what's happening on a macro level in the global markets, where we've seen some reduction in interest rates as well, and that is also driving a lot of consumption, I would say, because of higher liquidity in the markets. But yes, would love to hear your opinion as well.
I think there's a rate cut and is approached nearly 100% certainty in October. Is that true? I was reading something yesterday.
Yeah, yeah, I think there's a so there's something that I'm
Yeah.
pretty. One more thing that I'm sort of planning a post around it is these prediction markets, right?
Yeah.
Uh, like Poly market and Kalshi right now. So if you look at it, people are projecting a very high amount of pickup in the people are predicting that there will be a rate cut happening in October, maybe in December as well, right? So and whenever these rate cuts happen, that leads to this gold rush. That is one trend which is obviously leading to this gold rush. But yeah, I think it's much needed, right? Yields are at a scary level everywhere, and rate cuts are definitely the need, right?
Right.
So yeah, I think that is there. Plus, but like even on the other macro front, like even on the job numbers, US has been a little bit scary. People are worried that Donald Trump policies will cause higher inflation plus lower growth, so which means some sort of stagflation in the US, right?
Yeah.
That is what the worry is, and obviously the global economy is much more robust than 2008, but you have to watch out for that as well, right? But I think signals from India are definitely very strong, right? Decoupled, I think, in a sense from the US, and a lot of positive news in the Indian economy.
Right. And I think as we all become more interconnected with the aspect of globalization, which wasn't the case in the past, right? That things were not so interconnected. The effect that happened in the western part of the world wouldn't really impact the eastern part of the world, to be honest. But in today's world, anything, even a small thing happens in the west, comes down to the east, right? And we sort of have to bear with it in a way. Um,
But I think the Indian markets are more resilient than what was there earlier, where the shock could have obviously had, and we did. We saw it like post 2008 and other periods as well. But I think right now, even if there's a big impact that happens in the US, you will see repercussions, but it might be not at the same
fair.
Yeah.
magnitude as what was there.
Definitely,
Right.
I think on the AI front, definitely we are not exposed at all, right?
Yeah. Which is actually
A
maybe
lot
not
of
a good
territorial
thing.
conflicts that are happening. Sorry, you were saying something, Siddharth.
No, I'm just saying maybe that's not a good thing that we're not exposed to it as an economy.
Yeah.
Maybe from a
But
longer
I
term
think
perspective.
our IT sector is the proxy of AI, right?
I think they've been quite late
No,
to
I think they are not they're a negative proxy, right? If
yeah, yeah,
people don't need AI, then they need, tech
correct.
consultants, tech
Yeah,
TCs, and process.
Right. But on the
Amazing.
global scenario, I think one thing that we should also touch upon is the territorial conflicts that has been happening, right? Whether
Yeah.
you see that with Israel in Hamas, or you would see that with Ukraine and Russia, right? So on and so forth. There's a lot of territorial conflict that's been building up, which is again leading to things like sanctions, which we've recently experienced, right? Um, not very much. Not very much as we would see in the past, but the sanctions of today are really, really impacting these companies, at least in the short term. And given with what Trump wants to say, I think that is what is moving the market today than anything else at the moment.
Yes, I think that's a very good point. And see, this is a positive news. Israel, Hamas, this conflict has reached a ceasefire. A lot of positive news, even though it's a very worrying situation that happened. But that ceasefire is also a positive news, and we have to see how long that sticks and the long term applications. But
Right.
yeah, I think that's one good thing that Donald Trump definitely has done.
Right.
Uh,
Maybe that's why he was expecting the Nobel Prize a few weeks ago.
well, he stopped the Ukraine war. He stopped the India
Ukraine
Pakistan.
war was still going on, no? Ukraine.
He allegedly quoted that he had stopped it, but it's obviously not stopped. I mean, he's quoted a lot of things anyway. But anyways,
Right.
Right.
So, guys, we have reached the 1 hour mark. I think this was very interesting. We should do this more, right? This is very similar to our team strategy meetings that we do. It's a very good conversation we had, right? So,
absolutely. I think we can do maybe one standard live, and we can do this as a off
yes,
live.
I think we should do this more often, right? Instead of presentation and stuff, we can have a conversation. We can pick up interesting topics.
Absolutely. There's also a bunch of questions I'm seeing on the chat. I think we've covered most of it, but maybe
Yes.
next time we can cover more on the
Yeah,
chat
we will
section.
we'll cover this more,
Yeah,
and I think it was great version of a live that we did. So great discovery today as well, right?
absolutely.
And
And
I
I had,
hope, yes.
yeah, I
Yeah.
was
One
just
more
saying
thing to add to our tea plan.
that. Yes. So we guys have been making a plan for our company, like Shivam mentioned, and we do these calls almost every day, right? Uh, all of us and more people we join and we think of what we're doing. Seems very similar to this. Now that exercise has left, but we need to continue this, and the live would be a great thing to do, I guess. Um, but yeah, I think great session today is closing thoughts from all of you.
So, firstly, I hope the discussions that we had, the topics that we were talking about, do add some value to investors. And also to put it out there, this is anything that you picked up from this is no recommendation from our side. This is just a healthy discussion that we are doing, brainstorming, I would say, in a much better way, right? So this is no recommendation in any way. If we took any stock names, any sectors that we were talking about, it is not a recommendation. You should do your own research before you would choose to invest. And whenever you choose to invest, right research is always there for you.
Amazing.
Yeah, I think obviously Siddharth covered a lot of it, but I would say I think the question that we had asked about, what are our opinions on the market and where do we see it going? I think that sort of still resonates, and I think personally, I think it's a great time to be in Indian markets again for a long term from a long term perspective. From a short term perspective, I think you just need to pick and choose when you're sort of coming in and off the market to sort of have that alpha.
Definitely.
Sure. Again, I'll say the same thing. I'm very bullish on the Indian markets for the next 10, 15 years. So remain invested, remain committed to the Indian market. There'll be hiccups. And that is actually a good thing for you to, pump in more money. But at the end, I like to say, keep your investment journey simple. Don't try to overcomplicate it. It does not help.
Yes. All right. I think uh, I think I'll just agree with all of you guys, and I think I think I just feel very happy that we had this great conversation. I think we have to have more holistic conversations, and people have to know all the value that our team brings on the table. And like you all said, a lot of interesting things happening in the market. But I think right now I'm the most confident that I've felt in this whole year. Right, this whole year has been volatile. The Samvat 2081, right, like they say, has been
82.
tricky. 82. But this seems to be the most confident time to be in this particular Samvat, and we remain positive. We remain very confident about our ability to keep our investors happy, and we're all working towards it. And you can see that we have an amazing team who is doing that.
Absolutely.
On that note, we can take your leave.
Yes,
And
and wishing everyone a very, very happy Diwali. And may this festival of lights, color bring joy to you and your families and to our whole nation as well. It's always good to wish the nation than individuals. So I hope we as India and Indians do much better than what we've done in the past.
definitely,
Yeah, absolutely. Plus one to that.
happy
Plus two to
Diwali,
that.
guys.
Happy Diwali, everybody.
Happy
Bye.
Diwali, everyone. Thank you.
Happy
Diwali.
Diwali, everyone. Thank you.
Awesome. I think we are done. Happy Diwali, guys.
Happy
Yes.
Diwali.
Bye.